Miesha Tate shocked viewers with a betrayal she committed on the latest episode of Celebrity Big Brother US. The 35-year-old MMA star, who was head of household, had to make some tough decisions as other guests schemed and plotted around her. Near the end of the episode, she made a stunning pick for whom to nominate for eviction, and her selection was indeed voted out of the house. Carson Kressley had formed a group of allies in opposition to Miesha Tate, and he realized early in the episode that his side had a mole. He insisted he was so new to the game and so naive that he could scarcely imagine that somebody in his corner would be a traitor. But some other members of the group think maybe we do have somebody leaking info to Miesha, Carson shared in the confessional. He confided in his close colleague Teddy Mellencamp, "The only one that I'm slightly concerned about in our group is Mirai Nagasu." Teddy and Carson wondered whether Mirai was a double agent, and he teased her asking if she was in the CIA. "Just a real housewife," said the bombshell. Todrick meanwhile was conferring with Miesha, whom he told that he wanted to be ride or die with her as he fostered their relationship. "I feel like you're a loyal person and I feel really comfortable and like protected by you," Todrick insisted to Miesha. In a confessional he said, "Miesha is the perfect shield, especially after I've seen how she dominated in that first Ho competition. She can be the brawn and I can be the brain and the fashion in this operation. And I want to make sure that I'm by her side this week helping her make some very important decisions." Miesha and Todrick connived to become the final two together, and he admitted in a confessional that he might have to step out to formation and just really stay loyal to Miesha as his gut instinct was behind her. Todrick buttered her up, calling her a badabi and saying he felt like the coolest person in the house because of her approval. In the early parts of the episode, Teddy and Todrick shared a warm-hearted moment as they gently teased Chris Kirkpatrick. They were trying to get Kirkpatrick to try on Todrick's high-heeled Crocs, which he said he packed because he regarded them as the bare essentials. Todrick then marched into the kitchen doing showgirl high kicks in order to try and get some of the other men to try the heels on. When he floated the idea to Todd Bridges, Todd initially demurred, saying he would bust my ankles in heels. However, he was eventually worn down and was in fact proud of his progress, saying in a confessional, "Look at me. I can walk in heels. I don't think I'm afraid to express my feminine side, but you know, crying watching The Notebook was enough for me," said Lamar in a confessional. "Did I cry? I think I might have shed a tear watching The Notebook." Meanwhile, he was so proficient at walking in the Crocs that Todrick theorized this is not Lamar's first time at the heel rodeo, honey. Chris Kirkpatrick shortly thereafter walked in on Shanna Moakler telling Carson a gossipy story, which she then invited Kirkpatrick to hear. "Lamar and I have a little history with a very famous family and I don't know if he even remembers it, too, even cares," Shanna told the confessional. "All I know is I'm not bringing it up, I'm not talking about it unless he asks me." Lamar used to be married to Khloe Kardashian, while Shanna in the past has carried on public feuds with Khloe's elder sisters Kim and Kourtney. As it happens, Kourtney is now engaged to Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker, who was once married to none other than Shanna. Shanna told Carson and Kirkpatrick a story about going on the Wendy Williams show and being asked if she would go to the Khloe and Lamar wedding. Unfortunately, Shanna believed she was being asked about Kim, whom she was feuding with, and accidentally called Khloe a donkey on television. The crowd gasped and Shanna later realized her snafu, describing her reaction in the confessional, "I absolutely regret it. It was not one of my finest moments at all and I really didn't know her and am sure she's actually a really awesome girl." Shanna told Carson and Chris Kirkpatrick, "So when Lamar walked in I was like, oh my god, I hope he doesn't remember that, like I called his fiancée a donkey on TV. And she didn't deserve it and so, you know." Carson assured her that Lamar was unlikely to hold a grudge and she replied that she planned on not even mentioning it ever to him. Along came the veto competition, where the guests would have to complete a wacky challenge that would give them the much-desired veto. Carson and Mirai were the pre-selected nominees for eviction that week, and Carson got laughs with a mock acceptance speech thanking his mother and agent. "The plan this week," Miesha said in a confessional, "is for the nominations to stay the same and for Mirai to go home. I'm really hoping that Todrick gets picked to play in the veto competition because I know I can trust him." Cynthia Bailey declared herself safe as she had been given the Moan 1 hat, which was good for her but was foreshadowed as being cursed for someone else. Carson in a confessional shared that he regarded Teddy and Todrick as being the contestants who were athletic and quick enough to be able to understand how to win one of these challenges. Mirai meanwhile told the camera, "I don't know if I'm a pawn or not but I know that I have to win this thing," aware that she was coming under fire. She pulled the house guest choice token from a bucket and selected Todrick because in working with him and I think he can win this. "I'm honestly so grateful because this week we have a curse that I think a lot of people are forgetting to consider," said Todrick, "and if I can win the veto competition I think that's the only way to ensure 100% that I'm safe for this week." He sniped about Cynthia's ugly hat, which was not cute, and he noted that whatever this curse is ain't gonna be cute either. Todrick then went to another private meeting with Miesha, who theorized Mirai was flip-flopping between alliances in her decision to pick Todrick. Miesha and Todrick decided he should aim to win but with the purpose to just keep nominations the same, Carson and Mirai. Todrick reminded Miesha that Carson is very, very, very likable, like everyone loves him, cautioning her to be wary of him. In a confessional he expressed fear Miesha was bedazzled by Carson's personality, calling him a physical threat despite his age with an excellent social game. He plotted to keep planting the seeds against Carson, whom he pointed out needed to be out of the running for Todrick and Miesha to make the final two. Todrick also warned Miesha that the trio of Carson, Cynthia and Teddy were smarter than they are acting like they are, to which Miesha concurred. Miesha's private view of the situation was, "I agree that Carson could be the threat but he's not my target because he didn't betray me this week, Mirai did." The veto competition was then introduced with a sequence of Carson walking out into an elaborately designed set. Apparently the set was supposed to resemble a ski resort town, complete with chairlifts, various shops and even a brewery. Carson then explained the game, schedule snafu. "In this competition I have to use clues from my assistant to figure out my schedule for the day. The assistant would convey her hints through texts that would appear on a giant cell phone mounted in the midst of the set. And then I put these clocks at the right destination for where I'm supposed to be," said Carson, indicating a set of large fake clocks each with a different time on it. "And whoever gets the correct order in the shortest amount of time wins the golden power of veto," he concluded his explanation. As the hints pour in from the assistant on the phone, the contestant must drag the clocks around to various locations. The time on the clock must correspond to when the contestant is supposed to be at that place, based on the hints. Carson competed deftly, then it was Miesha's turn, after which Cynthia came in and was visibly struggling and Lamar joked the assistant was making him appear crazy. Todrick has set himself upon winning the challenge and puts great effort into doing so in order to bolster Miesha's trust in him. When everyone was done, Miesha was reticent to blow everyone out of the water in this competition and just wanted to do better than Mirai. Carson meanwhile was aiming to make sure I slay this veto competition so Miesha can't pull any funny business. Lamar, who came in last, said, "Yeah, I timed out, but it's all part of my strategy. But you best to believe when the time comes I'm gonna strike." Miesha herself was in second place, but Carson came in at first place, having completed the challenge in less than 4 minutes. He triumphantly joked that he was not as dumb as I look, and confirmed he would use his veto in order to save myself. As a result, Miesha was forced to confront the prospect that maybe Todrick was right about what a menace Carson could be to her chances of victory. The upshot was for Miesha that I have to decide on a replacement nominee. It really sucks that by the end of the week I will have nominated roughly 25% of the house. That means I have to work extra hard to make sure that my crew is riding with me because I am going to have an even bigger target on my back. Mirai meanwhile reflected that she had to hope that whoever Miesha decides to put up on the block next to me is a bigger target. With this aim, Mirai approached Miesha for a private meeting where she pleaded with the head of household to spare her. Mirai offered in exchange that if I win home next week I would not put you up on the block, however she waffled when Miesha asked whom she would nominate. Miesha eventually maneuvered an answer out of Mirai by framing her candor as a matter of building trust between the two of them. At that point Miesha asked Mirai to nominate Carson if she were made head of household, as it's the Carsons who win this game and that's why we have to stay together or we're gonna get picked off one by one, all of us, and that's why I think if you stayed and you swear like the loyalty to the alliance at this point. Mirai agreed to swear her fidelity to the alliance that Miesha was building up, and Miesha told her that you could be a really big asset. Miesha mulled nominating Chris Kattan, who doesn't seem to have a lot of connections in this house, so I don't think anyone would be offended if I put him on the block. Todrick then entered the confab, declaring he would be on board for everything the women had decided amongst themselves. However, he asked that Mirai not go down there and say anything, as I have a long relationship with Carson and I just don't ever want him to feel betrayed by me. Shanna and Teddy were in the kitchen, whispering about whom they felt Miesha would wind up nominating next. Teddy had been previously assured she was safe but was unsure about her current position, and Shanna was likewise afraid as she was not yet friendly with Miesha. Shanna sought out an audience with Miesha and set to work flattering her, offering to work with you and I'm willing to go in whatever direction you want. Her modus operandi, as she divulged in the confessional, was to use her one bargaining chip, and that is information. Look, I need as many votes as I can get on my side, so if Shanna's willing to play ball, let's play, said Miesha in her own confessional. Shanna asked Miesha outright, "What can I do that would make you feel comfortable with moving forward in the game with me?" Miesha replied that it's a matter of needing to know if I can trust you, or are you gonna go downstairs and tell Cynthia and Carson and Teddy everything? Shanna offered to be Miesha's mole among those three, admitting that becoming a spy was not her proudest moment. Miesha welcomed Shana into the alliance and Shana vowed to not repeat anything that happened in this room. Todrick and Miesha schemed one-on-one in the gym, where he urged her to pick Teddy as her second nominee because of Teddy's closeness to Carson. "How do you take down an evil dictator? You cut off her resources," said Todrick, warning that Carson was becoming Queen Bee. Todrick allowed that. "I hate that we're having to play this hard this early in the game, but if you don't take down Teddy, the ball's in their court and she'll be fine. She's gonna go home to her gorgeous kids, her sexy rich husband." Miesha then had a meeting with Teddy and warned her that there has been a line drawn in the sand and you are clearly on the other side of it. Teddy pleaded to plead my case as I just don't wanna go home first, but Miesha stuck to her guns while saying she felt genuinely bad about the betrayal. Miesha acknowledged she herself should have had the foresight to comprehend that you cannot make any real promises in this game, you cannot. Teddy tearfully said, "I wish you would have given me a fighting chance then. Like truthfully, I trusted you in the way as a mother, as somebody I respect. You've looked at me straight in the face giving me that self-assurance." In order to try and avoid being nominated, Teddy promised not to nominate Miesha if the tables were turned going forward. Miesha however argued that we are playing the effing game whether we like it or not. "I don't wanna send one effing person home but I have to, okay? And this game changes so second by second that I'm about to lose my ass." When the whole cast gathered together for a meeting and Miesha announced Teddy as her second nominee, Carson was stunned. In a confessional he exclaimed that as the kids say, "I'm gagged and I'm gooped. Mommy's gonna need a Chardonnay. Miesha gave me her word over and over and over again that I'm safe," said Teddy in her own furious confessional. "Excuse me while I pull the knife from my back. But of course I'm gonna fight to stay." Meanwhile Lamar and Mirai, both American athletes of color, talked together and shared their own experiences with regard to race. Mirai copped to feeling racial tension in Boston, where she lives, and Lamar said, "America was built on racism." He added, "My grandmother was born in 1923 in an America where, black people couldn't do half the things they do now. And she taught us, never, ever, 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 ever judge someone because of their skin color or, even if they treat you wrong because of your skin color." Mirai gave an emotional confessional about racism and stated, "It was up to my generation to start talking about these biases so that others can understand and we can come to a place where we are willing to learn and accept all cultures." While speaking to Lamar she brought up the old racial barriers in skating and he stated, "This country, they just try to keep brushing it under the rug, a kid gets shot by police, something like that happens and all hell breaks loose." He declared himself a proud black man, and they both said that they were proud of being Americans, having both competed for the USA in the Olympics. At that point Teddy, realizing her neck was potentially on the chopping block, began to campaign for her survival, lobbying team members to vote for her to stay. Certain contestants, Todd, Lamar, remained inscrutable when she grilled them, but she did get Chris Kattan to say, "I'm voting for you to stay." Then came the final meeting, when the vote for who would be eliminated first this season was slated to take place. Host Julie Chen revealed that the Moon 1 hat, which had previously been a blessing to Cynthia, would now be a curse to another contestant. The Velcro logo on the hat was turned around to reveal it was now called Nom Now, and it would be used to put another contestant in the firing line. Julie explained that the hat would be passed around among the contestants. The last person to receive the hat will be an automatic nominee, and this new nominee will remove either Mariah or Teddy from the block and immediately replace them. Cynthia got to pick which contestant she would save by giving them the hat first, and her selection was none other than Shanna. Shanna picked Kirkpatrick, who picked Todrick, who picked Chris Kattan, who faced with a choice between the final two elected to save Lamar. Todd was then put on the spot as one of the final two nominees, and decided to replace, and thereby save, Mariah. Teddy and Todd were now left as the two nominees for elimination, with the other contestants filtering one by one into a private room to cast their votes. Todd declared, "Bring it," but as tension grew, Lamar sagely told his castmates, "It ain't that serious, bro. It's a game." Each of the two nominees was allowed to give one final statement, and Todd simply said, "Do what you gotta do. That's all I'm gonna say. I just first wanted to say, Todd, thank you for sharing your incredible stories with us," Teddy graciously began her statement. "And I've laughed more than I could have ever imagined in this house, and for that I am grateful," she said. "I also have played a straightforward game. I never once pretended I didn't want to be here or I didn't fight to try to win. And I wanna do this with integrity, and that's how I wanna continue on," Teddy concluded. "And I hope that you guys give me the shot to not backdoor me and actually give me a fighting chance, cause this is the worst way to go out." Then the votes filtered in. Lamar, Todrick, Chris Kirkpatrick, Mariah and Shanna all decided they wanted to evict Teddy. Chris Kattan remained true to his word and voted to save her, while Cynthia and Carson also voted to evict Todd. As head of the household, Miesha could only vote as a tiebreaker, but as the results were already 5-3, her contribution was unnecessary. When Teddy was told she was voted out, she smiled and dutifully gave everyone a hug, even Miesha, who whispered, "It's not personal." As she exited, there was some confusion as to what everyone else should do, and Lamar marveled, "We have to walk her out?" Teddy's parting shot to the remaining roommates was to joke, "Have fun with the dishes." And then she was off for her post-game interview with Julie. "You know what, I'm trying to find the positive in this," Teddy told Julie, "and I am honored that I am a big enough threat that they had to get me out first." She added, "Ultimately I probably feel most betrayed by Todrick, because he was originally in my alliance, holding my hand at night before we go to bed, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, meanwhile, forming a completely different alliance and conspiring against me." When Julie told her the names of the contestants who had voted against her, Teddy said, "Shanna voted me out. Who? She did me dirty." However, she added darkly, "I had a feeling. I said it to Chris Kirkpatrick this morning," noting that Shanna was having a day where she was really worried she was gonna go home, and she went up and told me she cried to Miesha. Said Teddy, "And I had a feeling in that moment, okay, she went and made some deal to get me out of there. But you know what, I like her as a person, and she did what she had to do, I guess." She theorized, "Best game player so far, I don't know, probably Lamar. Like he's acting like he's like I don't care. But I feel like he's, you know, a dark horse. Or I feel like maybe Kattan, sleeping his way through it." Teddy called Celebrity Big Brother the hardest thing I have ever done in my entire life, but also the most fun. "You guys, I can't believe how hard I laughed." Although it was more cutthroat even than the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she felt she had made lifelong friends on the program. She said she was so grateful for the relationships that I formed inside of that mauve room, even if one of them ended up having to vote against me.